It'll watch, it's gonna change to something else. Watch.
Your microphone's on.
You need to add air freshener in the AVC HVAC. It smells. For
Microphones.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the special board meeting of Fremont Unified School District on May 2nd, 2018. First, let's all stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. Follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Ms. Sandoval, please do the roll call.
Trustee Shadow?
Present.
Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Campbell?
Here.
Trustee Sweeney?
Here.
Trustee Crosby?
Present.
I feel like mine's off.
Even though it's not on the agenda, Dr. Wallace, could you please introduce the staff?
I sure will. On my far right is Miss Patty Sandoval, who is the administrative assistant to the superintendent and the Board of Education. And on my left are Dr. Raul Zamora, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Dr. Denise Herman, Associate Superintendent of Instruction, and Mr. Raul Perengao, Associate Superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Now let's approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Any second?
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Let's vote.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Ms. Sandoval, your mic is not on.
Yeah, I realized the my light is on, but it's not really processing. Does yours
Can
work?
you share that with student board members?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Does that work? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, got it.
Would you please re-announce the result of the votes?
Trustee Crosby, I'm waiting for your response. Let's take a vote. Okay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now comes to the oral communications. Before the oral communications, I would like to first read something that the staff prepares for tonight's procedure. For tonight's oral communication, first keep seat ticket with you at all times. Your seat ticket color corresponds to the room you are seated at. We will begin with public comment momentarily. We're scheduled to start at 4:30 p.m., which we already did. For tonight only, we'll be using a number system for public comment. If you have requested to speak, you were handed a white card. This is separate from the color seating cards with a number. The card looks like this. Please bring speaker card with you to the podium. There will be only one opportunity to speak for both agenda items. We have extended the time to request to speak until 6:15 p.m. By the way, the break is scheduled at about 6 p.m., so this will be after our first break. We will call speakers by number, and we'll be calling the first 10 speakers first. After that number, speakers 11 to 20 start lining up outside the boardroom, and so on. And furthermore, signs must not block views. I noticed that some people bring large signs, and I appreciate that. You're welcome to bring any sign with you to the podium when you speak. However, when you hold up your sign, please be aware of the people behind you so that your sign do not block their views. That's some announcement about the procedure and the order, but I feel obligated or obliged to have some opening statement. 4 years ago, I was sitting in the audience on a similar topic, and today I'm sitting on as a board member presiding this meeting. It's almost like a deja vu. That is why, because today the topic we're going to address, sex education, is as controversial and potentially divisive as it could be in the past. And the fault is the state failed to give us a very clear curriculum on sex education. Unlike other subjects, like science, they have NGSS. They have the language, art, guidance, and so on and so forth. But for sex education, the state leaves to each school district to decide what to teach and when to teach. And that actually has been the controversy ever since early February. During the period of time, many community members came to our meetings and spoke, and the board appreciates that. Also, we heard during the process there were allegations of name calling, harassment, attacks, and in the community, which is something that the board would not like to see. Tonight, we may come here with different point of views, but I already assumed that regardless of your predetermined positions, you all love our students in FUSD, just like the board members do. Tonight, we all come here to support our students and to support the board so that no attacks, no name calling is necessary. There's no hate group tonight in this room. As I said, I also would like the public to assume that our board members, regardless how we are going to vote later, we also have the same heart, which is to support our FUSD students. So media friends, don't put our names under headlines like the board members voted along the hate group. As like many controversial topics, this topic also puts the board at a very difficult position because not all the community members have the same opinion. Regardless what decisions we're going to make tonight, it is impossible for the board members to please everyone. However, we still expect your support. So during the meeting, please follow all the orders so that we can have a very civilized and respectful environment to exchange opinions. Also treat our board members like the jurors. We would like to hear facts, and we don't appreciate any release of just anger, hatred, or any emotions, because that's not constructive in this communication. By saying that, I want to point out that any disruptive behavior, like snapping of the finger or unnecessarily prolonged applause, will make this conversation less effective. Tonight, it's not a shout game or competition to see whose voice is louder. Just like in the courtroom, the jurors would basically look at the facts and make their best decision. But after all, the board members are also human beings. We have our weaknesses. We can be tired. So while the meeting is ongoing, please keep us, each and every one of the board members, in your prayer so that we can have the wisdom, we can have the strength, but most importantly, we can have the same heart to work with the community. And after tonight, regardless what the final decision the board is going to make, we're still hoping that the community will put this controversial issue aside and reunite and continue to support the board, support the school district as you did in the past. And don't forget that the board has been working so hard to implement the Measure E projects so that we can give a very good delivery and keep our good promises. Don't forget, this board has been working so hard to advocate for more fundings so that we could give salary increases to our teachers. We could have more fundings to all the disadvantaged students, and we could repair all the beat up school facilities. So don't forget, no matter how we vote, our blood is warm. We have the same heart. We'll still continue to do our best to serve the community, to serve the students of FUSD, so that this board, the School Board of Education of Fremont Unified School District, of the people, by the people, for the people, with your support, can continue to perform our due diligence, fulfill our duties, and perform our services to you. Thank you so much. Ms. Sandoval, please announce the numbers.
Yes, we are ready for speakers 1 through 10. And if I can ask speakers 11 through 20 to please stand outside the boardroom.
Ms.
Please.
Sandoval, excuse me, how many speakers do we have?
The last count I had was about 140.
And we are still accepting cards as we go. Before the first 10 speakers line up, I would like to read the statement regarding public comment. The board respects the right of the public to comment on board matters.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Speakers are limited to 2 minutes as an individual and 3 minutes as a group for tonight's meeting. Speaker cards must be submitted well, this doesn't apply. Okay. Speech or conduct that is disruptive, threatening, abusive, or defamatory is not allowed. Employees who are defamed are entitled to pursue legal action against those who engage in such speech. At the discretion of the presiding officer or board, anyone who disrupts the meeting may be required to leave. Thank you very much for your anticipated cooperation. In front of you, you have 3 lights. Green light means go. Yellow light means you have limited amount of time. Please wrap up. And red light means stop. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Rivera. I am both a teacher in the district and a product of the district. And I'm so proud to work here in a place where people so passionately are advocating for students. And as an educator with a background in English, I'm going to give some research-informed writing and speeches because I'm all about research. According to California Assembly Bill 517, school districts have been authorized to provide comprehensive sexual health education consisting of age-appropriate instruction in grades 1 through 12. According to the Healthy Youth Act of 2016, this is to revise textbooks and materials to better serve that particular law. These are to be age and developmentally appropriate for adolescents, which the American Psychological Association guide defines as between the ages of 10 and 18. The AMA, American Public Health Association, NEA, and national school boards all endorse comprehensive sexual education. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, one of their guidelines is that there is school-based comprehensive sexual education. And finally, the 10th Amendment of our Constitution states that the powers not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution are reserved to the states. And our state constitution, Article 4, Section 1, states that the legislative power of the state is vested in the California Senate and Assembly, or if electors want to propose an amendment, but that has to be presented to the Secretary of State with at least 5% of the electorate's signatures. While I think it's essential that parents, teachers, and ultimately the whole school community passionately discuss and advocate what's best for children, this particular forum is not the one in which laws are created or amended. That is the responsibility and duty of the state legislator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Eshna Fatima, and I'm a freshman at Coyle speaking in favor of total health education, inclusive of all 6 components. I'm not an ignorant extremist, none of us are, but I'm one of the concerned youth of the FUSD. Today we are battling epidemics that are a product of modern society, including cyberbullying and cell phone addiction. According to an article by Very Well Mind, every 24 hours in the United States, approximately 15,016 will use drugs for the first time, 3,506 will run away, 1,439 will attempt suicide, and 2 adolescents will be murdered. The underlying cause of these cases are psychological. The health triangle is a measure of different components of health created by scientists. It consists of 3 aspects of everyday life: physical, social, and of course, mental health. A gaping hole in the current curriculum is the lack of mental health education. Hear the voice of nearly 7,000 people of our concerned community, courtesy of our Change.org petition. I urge the board to represent us and implement total health in the current curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Frances Ling. I am a Fremont parent, a teacher, and a voter. In order to educate our next generation to be responsible and contributing citizens, we need to do the right things the right way. Not only have I heard complaints from parents about not being informed and involved in this new sex education adoption process, I have also heard concerns from teachers who feel uncomfortable teaching the new curriculum. So I request that 3Rs be suspended. Reselect a better curriculum. We need health education, and it's important, but it has to be selected in a careful, thoughtful, and transparent way, which involves parents to avoid potential lawsuit. Here are the 3 concerns about the 6142.3 AR number 2. First, pursuant to Education Code 489E5, translations of parental notification are required for students speaking a language other than English that constitute 15% or more of a school's enrollment. An opt-out form will be available on the school district website in languages required by law. This has not been done yet. Number 2, alternative curriculum will be made available for at least 2 weeks. Notice is given, and parents should be given sufficient time to review the alternative curriculum, and teachers should be trained properly to teach the alternative curriculum. We need quality education. So even the alternative curriculum needs to be taught to our children. Okay, please don't discriminate. Alternative curriculum should be available at the same time when the sex education curriculum is out, and this has not been done yet. Number 3, parents and guardians can opt out prior to the instruction being taught. The language of this policy does not require publishing of the dates for each lesson. This makes it impossible for parents to opt out in time, so each school should announce the exact date and time when each lesson will be taught for each grade at least 1 month before any instruction. So parents will have enough time to review and to choose whether to opt out timely. Here's are my 3 comments. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening, honorable board members. My name is Annie He. I have 2 kids going to Fremont School. I have a lot of concerns about 3R curriculum review procedure. FUSD failed to implement the law properly. And our concerned parents tonight asked for work with FUSD together. Let's form a special curriculum review committee. Involve the parents whose kids are now registered in Fremont, and let's review the curriculum together. Until that process in place, no 3R should be in our school district. Assembly Bill number 329, Ed Code section 51937 says, it is the intent of the legislation to respect the right of the parents and guardians to supervise their children's education on this aspect. And the legislature intends to create a streamlined process so it is easier for parents and guardians to review the content as well as the evaluation tools that related to the comprehensive sexual education. But the fact is, not only FUSD has ignored the parents' right, but really failed to involve our parents in the curriculum review procedure. Here are 3 examples. A, limited space and time slots in the parent review night. B, lack of access to the online review for the parents who do not have a computer. C, even though staff try to make those instructions available in 3 languages, but after a few months till today, that instruction content are still in English only. FUSD also failed to properly communicate with parents about the opt-out notices. By talking to some of the busy working parents, till today, some of them are still waiting for their kids bring home a form, opt-out form. How is this process streamlined per the law to make it easier for parents to review? The instruction guide is rather fluid, and staff keep hiding the contents and links. The contents and links are keep changing. The adoption of 3R does not comply with the law in so many ways that shouldn't FUSD concerned about possible lawsuit? As a government employee myself, I know how important the rules and regulations are. Please be reminded, dear trustees, you are elected to sit on the board to provide the best education decision to our kids. If the board does not adhere to the law appropriately, keep ignoring their constituents' requests, and refuse working with community, you will break our trust in you. Thank you.
Carol Zilli, educator for over 30 years. Children are seeking love, they're seeking truth, they're seeking trust, they're seeking acceptance. And we see, unfortunately, in society, the breakdown of the family unit. And what's our answer? A how to engage in sexual activity manual called 3 R's. It's divisive, controversial. It is masked as safe and healthy. It is dangerous. And this is the reason why we are here tonight. And I would like to quote in grade 6, lesson 3, it is stated to the note to the teacher in 3 R's, help them to challenge the gender norms that have been taught to them from their earliest ages. This is a perfect example of the erosion of family values that this curriculum is all about. PTAs, the Ed Code, scientific research agrees that parents are the primary educator and a key partner with the schools for student success. So why can't a curriculum be all inclusive of all parents? And this binder just has 5,000, but to date we have over 6,500, and every day more and more parents are saying this: not no to comprehensive sex ed, read the signs, but yes to comprehensive sex ed, that is quality comprehensive sex ed, real sex ed, and not indoctrination. But 3 R's is not the answer. This is the key point we want to make. Parents want their children to be knowledgeable, but they don't want to have their children be coerced. Will a child in a classroom with 3 R's instruction have the freedom to speak and say, I don't agree with that? Or will their freedom of speech rights and viewpoints, which is all about America, be denied to them? I think that's a possible liability issue for the board, very serious one. I ordered from 3 R's the HECAT standards. There's 7 of them, and one of them is a behavior outcome, be sexually abstinent. Yet I could not find that in grades 4 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So it violated its own standards that it was trying to show that it was compliant with. I recommend to the board that you set up a committee. Actually, I don't know why you ever disbanded, not this board, the Health Sex Advisory Committee that I sat on, because that was the forum where you wouldn't have had all of this happening, where people had to come out, because there was no chance for them to speak, to review curriculum. I strongly urge you to set up that committee and have parents and teachers and medical people to review curriculum, because there's other curriculum out there, and I know it exists. We cannot take a curriculum without checking its author and checking its affiliates. And the author, in one I have a serious concern with, as the affiliates.
Please conclude. Thank you.
Board trustees and staff, we are Chung Wu and Jane Ma, Fremont voters and parents. Parent involvement is a vital part of adopting a new sex ed curriculum. In fact, AB 2878, which is endorsed by the California PTA, calls for adding family engagement to priority number 3 of local control funding formula. Our very own FUSD Local Control Accountability Act, goal number 4, also calls for proper engagement of parents. However, FUSD staff have repeatedly neglected their duties to properly engage parents in this whole 3R sex education implementation. Let me provide a few examples. FUSD staff failed to provide multilingual notice about 3R, even in instances when EDCO 489985 requires it. This is also a civil rights violation. FUSD staff failed to provide a way for parents who don't have computers, who are not proficient in using computers, to review a physical copy of the curriculum. FUSD staff failed to provide CNI committee member an opportunity to give input to 3R when it was first presented to them. What's the point of having the presentation? FUSD staff created a completely broken opt-out process. Parents were not informed properly, and a lot of them are still waiting to receive a paper form from school to opt out. Opt-out requests sent via email have got trapped in spam filters, so teachers don't get it. FUSD staff continue to provide misinformation to parents. They said the law mandates sex ed to be taught prior to 7th grade, when AB 329 clearly has no such provision. They said lessons must be taught in co-ed classes. AB 329 does not require that. They said 3R was the only law-compliant curriculum when our neighboring school districts are using other AB 329 compliant curriculum just fine. I can go on, but these are the only examples I can give given the time limit. Board trustees, how can Fremont parents and voters trust the school district when its staff repeatedly neglected the responsibility to engage parents? Our trust in FUSD has been decimated. We ask that you take the first step in restoring public trust to FUSD by setting the current 3R curriculum aside and engage parents to evaluate better curriculum alternatives that would move closer to the goal of providing total health education to students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear board members, my name is Lee and I'm a voter in Fremont. Also, I'm a mom of a 4th grader and a 2nd grader. Based on staff's PPT presentation in December 2017, slide 9 shows ACLU reviewed the FUSD instructional guides and made edits. The ACLU was one of the original supporters of AB 329. They are not a neutral party. We have heard directly from Linda Anderson, Kathy Cater, and others that ACLU has been involved from the beginning, reviewing FUSD about how to implement the curriculum. How is it possible that the ACLU, a group of lawyers, could not correctly interpret the text of AB 329 and its actual requirements for grades 7 to 9, but not requirements for grade 4 to 6? Lack of any language provided for whole group instruction and other inaccuracies. Why? Are they purposely misleading the FUSD staff? During the April 18 board meeting discussion on this topic, Crosby asked if we can have somebody from ACLU attend. Why? Shortly after, Larry said the ACLU attorney did not give us the truth. The ACLU attorney was more finesse, trying to push an agenda. It is highly inappropriate for a government entity to consult with interested parties' lawyer to clarify the laws. We should call it out. I just want to ask, who FUSD accountable to? The
Please wrap up.
ACLU or the parent of the Fremont? Thank you.
So far, the meeting is in order. I just want to remind again that for people who hold large size signs, please be minded of the people that sit behind you so that you do not block views. You're welcome to bring the large signs to the podium as you speak.
1 second, please. In addition, if I can have speakers 21 through 30, please line up outside the boardroom.
Good evening, board members and staff. My name is Melody Huang, and I am a Fremont resident and a registered voter. And I want to thank you for all that you do for our city and for our students. I think that the 3R curriculum seems to downplay the risks and consequences of sex activities. First example is that in the lesson on HIV, there is no mention that AIDS is deadly or that treatment of HIV can actually lead to accelerated aging and memory loss. The only consequence is that you can have a normal life expectancy. And secondly, in the lesson on STD, there is only mention that it is treatable and curable, but there doesn't address that having an incurable STD can actually haunt a person's life for the rest of their lives. And lastly, condoms is recommended for pregnancy prevention with 98% effectiveness rate. But that number is only per year and perfect use. But for typical use, the effectiveness rate is 85%. And if you multiply 85 by itself 5 times, it's 44%. So a student who's having sex in middle school in 5 years, even with condom use, correct use but not perfect use, can expect teen pregnancy by the time they're out of high school. So I just propose that you address all of these points and do not adopt 3Rs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Zhang. I live in Fremont with my wife and 2 daughters. First of all, I want to say thank you to appreciate this opportunity to speak here and hope my voice could be really heard. Here I want to share with you something that I've been experienced during the past few weeks. I joined the March 28th meeting and stayed late till the end of the meeting. I was so disappointed on hearing the vote result. Actually, it was the first time that I felt that I was such a weak and useless man. As a dad, I don't have enough ability to fight for my kids so that they can be educated with age-appropriate sex education curriculum. Yet, I didn't want to give it up. I think there must be something else I can do to help all the Fremont kids, even if I am weak. About 3 weeks ago, I received a flyer to help Fremont parents to be aware of this issue. Then I know what I should do. When I dispatched flyers, I got countless sincere thank yous, some free coffee. Some parents came back to ask me for more flyers so that they can help to spread the information to their neighbors and friends voluntarily. Dear board member, this does mean something. When I talked to one of my coworkers about what's happening in Fremont, he immediately changed his mind of moving to Fremont and switched to the house hunting in some other cities. Dear board members, this does mean something. Kevin Zhang, an ordinary and shy software engineer, is now forced to stand out to speak here in public to fight for his kids right now of being educated with age-appropriate sex education curriculum. Dear board members, this does mean something. FUSD, we will always trust in you, and we are still trying to trust you. Please stop ruining our trust and do something to restore the trust. Parents' voice are really not noise. We don't speak French English, especially with strong accent like myself. This doesn't mean that our voice should be ignored. Always having good manners and being nice and friendly doesn't mean that we will be easily fooled and deserve to follow any inappropriate decisions. Not doing much before doesn't mean that not having ability to do much in future. Being curious about sex and body doesn't mean beep sex and beep sex in public classroom. Choose is false. Choose doesn't mean true. Choose doesn't mean false. Choose is, was, and will always be truth. Finally, I want to emphasize something. Approving such a controversial curriculum in such a rush, plus with so many parents' disagreement, will definitely not be something smart to do. Dear board members, before you make any decision, please be very cautious and ask yourself from your deep heart whether the vote you're going to make will be good for kids, for each individual family, or for the whole community. Are we ready, or have we ever thought about any negative consequences? Don't let tonight's vote be something that you will eventually feel sorry for.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear board members, my name is Ping Luo. We, many parents, spend numerous hours in reviewing the content thoroughly. What did we find out? Listen, our kids will be taught materials that are not age appropriate. Let me give you 2 examples. The first example is about being age inappropriate. In the sixth grade lesson, let me just simply read out the content. Max and Julia spend a lot of time together now that they're a couple. When they find some private time together, alone, they like to kiss a lot. Max really want to do something more. And so the next time they're alone together, he tries to pull Julie's shirt up and reach for one of her breasts. She pulls back down and says, no. But she keeps kissing Max. And he tries again. And she says, Max, no. Max remember seeing in a movie that if you keep trying, sometimes the other person might give up. So he tries again. Oh my God, if this sounds like R-rated movie scene to me. If the kids are not allowed to see the R-rated movie scene, why is it okay for the teacher to read out this kind of thing in the sixth grade class? Can you imagine someone is doing this kind of things to your kids when they're only 12 years old? The second example is, as we know, delaying sexual activity is required by the law AB 329-51934A3, but it's contradicting in our lesson plan. Here's one more example. In the lesson 5 for the grade 6, teachers will be giving the students leading questions by comparing having sex to having sugar. Some people choose to abstain from eating sugar sometimes, but when they do start eating again, they're being very careful about it, about their health concern overall. Foods with sugar taste really good, and as long as we eat them in the moderation with other healthy food, people can choose to eat it or not, or not part of it, or as part of it, as they enjoy their lives. The teachers goes on saying, sex between two people can really feel good and bring the couple together and closer. I'm going to ask you to imagine that you are in a future relationship with someone who wants to have some kind of sex with you, and blah, blah, blah. Guys, is this the right way to teach the sixth grade kids about delaying sexual activity? Of course not. It sounds to me the sixth graders are encouraged to have sex as long as they are ready mentally and physically. The scientific facts have proved that the team's brain is not fully developed to make a good decision like this. I can pass this fire to you.
Before the next speaker, I would like to point out that on occasions that there will be like dialogues between the speaker and the audience. This is something that is not allowed. So please refrain from answering the speaker's question. Otherwise, it's out of order.
Hi, dear board members. I'm a teacher from San Lorenzo School District. Today, I come here as a mom because I sent my son to Fremont Unified School District because we all know this is a district with a good reputation. But today, I come here with the concern that Fremont Unified School District is going to provide an inappropriate sexual suggestive material. And today, I come here as an educator too, as a teacher. So as a teacher, I'm concerned about you're gonna provide a curriculum which is even beyond the law. So by teaching sexual education to 4th grade students. So please take a look at how many parents showed up in this boardroom. Please show your sign. So these are all the concerned parents.
Don't do that because, as I said,
He
no
just
dialogue
asked you.
or no acting together.
Thank you. Okay, I just want the board to see how many concerned parents come into this room and how many parents are still outside concerning about their own kids. And even there are more students, more parents who are waiting in front of TV, waiting in front of their computer, looking forward you guys to make a good choice. So as an educator, I really think we should never ignore these parents' voices, right? So when we ignore these parents' voices, we lose our students, and for sure, we're gonna lose our good teachers too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sunita Devi, parent of FUSD. I request the board vote no to the board policy 6142.3. The policy is completely unfair to the teachers. How is it possible that for a subject as controversial as sex ed and using a curriculum as controversial as 3 hours, FUSD has not provided a procedure for teachers to opt out of teaching the material? This is completely unacceptable. For example, are you aware that in the 8th grade, lesson 10 in the document titled What If, it gives instruction on how minors can receive abortions in California without parental consent. Even for teachers who are pro-choice advertising minors about how to obtain such an invasive and life-altering procedure without consulting with their parents will be heartbreaking topic for most people. Are pro-life teachers required to teach the material? Isn't it that an obvious violation of their First Amendment rights under US Constitution? Since the 3-hour curriculum deals with sex involving minors, can teachers be held liable for inducing behaviors in students that is criminal in nature? We live in a very litigious world. Why does the board policy not address the legal consequences and remedies of this risk? The AB 329 Healthy Youth Act bill provides teachers the right to opt out if they so choose. Why does our board policy not address this issue? Is the district purposefully discriminating against the teachers who find parts of 3-hour material objectionable? Also, how can we say the teachers have been trained properly on this curriculum? Ever since FUSD started the rollout of the process, there have been numerous changes to the instructional guides. For example, recently the book It's Perfectly Normal appeared in the suggested materials for 4th grade, but now it's been moved to 5th grade in the English language version. Also, many videos have been removed from 4th grade material recently. And what about teachers who, for whatsoever reason, did not receive the training? Should they have a substitute? Will they teach it anyways, regardless of being completely unprepared to discuss such difficult topics as gender identity with 10-year-olds? Why does the board policy not address this? The reason I asked the board to reject this policy is that I sincerely care for the teachers of FUSD. I know some teachers who are being forced. They don't like to teach this curriculum, but they cannot come here to speak because of the consequences they may face. We, as parents, represent those teachers here and support them. I do not wish to see them being forced into teaching any curriculum against their will that might possibly lead to consequences that may heavily on their conscience. Please reject the board policy and 3R. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a wonderful day. Really, what a wonderful day. I'm seeing so many parents and so many people come out here.
Speaker,
and,
please address the board only.
Yeah, my name is Cole. My wife and I have been raising 2 children together, 2 boys in Fremont, and we've been married for 22 years. But I'm so happy that so many parents come out today, and so many people come out today because we care about our children. And like many parents, we took a half a day off today. And we love our children, and we love our school and our community. I know my children well, and they will do well and only do well when parents, teachers, and our healthcare professionals work hand in hand. As many of us know, leading to the 2007 and 2008 financial crisis, some of the very smart and educated folks in our financial institute came up with the subprime mortgages. By mixing good loans with bad ones, they persuade our credit rating agents to approve those loans as AAA, the best and the safest. And you know the rest of the story. Many of us still suffering from that. Similarly, some smart and educated folks created three R's by mixing good puberty health information with controversial materials. And that thousands of Fremont parents believe some of these materials promote unhealthy and unsafe relationships to our young children. These young children who are have least amount of parental support will be affected the most. School board trustees, you are the credit rating agents for our education system. Our children need a better health education. 3R is a subprime loan to our children's future. 3R is a subprime loan to our children's future. Please do not approve it. And to all the people here, I wish you live long and prosper. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear board members, my name is Steven. I'm one of the, my children is studying at Fremont district. Okay. So I just want to express my concern regarding the 3R materials. And on grade 5, lesson 3, page 3, the topic is about what is love anyway. So it talk about romantic love. It says someone you want to have holding hands, kisses, and when you are older, you want to have sex with him. Okay, with so I'm kind of concerned. This kind of love is kind of shallow. You know, you talk about love, romantic, only talk about physical love. There's no sacrifice love. There's no like any depth to a love. They only talk about physical. So I'm not so sure this is a good. You can maybe the school can teach you puberty. It's based on scientific, but with love, this kind of stuff, I don't think this material can dress very well. So please reconsider 3Rs. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members and staff. My name is Yuan Long. I'm a registered voter and living in North Fremont, parents too. I would like to comment on the skills part of the curriculum, which is like assertive communication and smart decisions. So these are general skills. I'm not sure why they need to be taught with the sex context, but I think the problem is it suffers from oversimplification of social lives, which can change by minutes. There are millions of ways of soliciting sex or pushing boundaries, but the problem is if the kids are not mentally mature, it's difficult for them to apply those skills. They need psychology. They need to know more about themselves, know more about human. That's what I see missing from the curriculum. What worries more about is that the oversimplification also boosts overconfidence. So kids would think they know everything, but they don't know what they don't know. That they may stop seeking advice and become an easy prey. So if something bad happens to them, they may still praise the curriculum, but blame themselves on not following the skills they have been learning from the school or not using condoms perfectly. It's heartbreaking to even imagine that happening to them. They don't know the complexity of this world. They don't know ignorance has a market values, and by boosting ignorance, somebody else can harvest them. And they don't know they are in a social experiment that can boost ignorance. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. My name is Tiffany, and this is Susan. We are both Fremont residents and registered voters, and Susan has 2 children who go to school in Fremont. So I would like to point out some problems and concerns about 3Rs. In grade 8, lesson 7, the class material says that no one wants to get an STD. It's just like no one wants to get a flu. The fact of the matter is, though, lots of people will get STDs at some point in their lives. It's actually really common. especially among young people. And this is the quote. I'm afraid that 3R really downplays the dangerous effects of STD. In 2004, CDC report shows that HIV was the 8th leading cause of death for those who are aged 25 to 34. And it's the 9th for those aged between 35 and 44. So it's a really big issue that we should consider. Also, syphilis is just as deadly as HIV. It is hard to diagnose, and if not treated timely and properly, syphilis can cause serious complication and eventually death as well. 3R also omits to disclose that different sexual behaviors and age groups have different infection rates and risk levels. Here are some examples that I found. First, according to CDC recent reports, among 39,000 new HIV diagnoses, at least 66% are men who engage in same-sex sexual behavior. Second, adolescents aged between 15 to 24 account for nearly half of the 20 million people of STDs each year, while they only represent 1/4 of the entire population. Third, today, 2 in 5 sexually active teenager girls have an STD that can cause infertility or even cause death. There are biological reasons why especially young girls are susceptible to STDs. So most STDs have health consequences that can last a lifetime. By telling students that STD is just like a flu, 3R fails to represent that all essential facts. Please vote no for 3Rs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is David Sheen, and my friend here is David Yen. So you get 2 Davids for the price of 1. I would like to address the board with regards to board policy AR 6142.3, sexual health and HIV/AIDS prevention instruction. As a health curriculum, shorten the process of selection and the language stipulated in BPAR 6161.1 selection of instructional materials be applied to this new board policy. BPAR 6161.1 specifically provides that the superintendent or designee shall establish a process by which instructional material shall be reviewed for recommendations to the board. This process shall involve the committee, and this committee will be responsible for making a recommendation to the superintendent, who will make a recommendation to the governing board. The Adoption Selection Committee will evaluate the materials based on 5 components. 1, alignment with the content standards. 2, program organization. 3, assessment. 4, universal access to include English learners, special education, and gifted, talented education. And 5, instructional planning and support. When recommending the material for adoption selection, the superintendent will include a budget impact statement that outlines the anticipated cost of the adoption selection, a plan for professional development to ensure teachers are supported to use the adopted selected materials, and lastly, a plan to evaluate the effectiveness of the adoption selection. Here are my concerns. I do not see English learners and special education students being included in BPAR 6142.3. There's also no mentioning of the Adoption Selection Committee, the budget impact statement, the anticipated cost for adoption selection of the curriculum, and also the plan for professional development and plan for evaluating the effectiveness of the curriculum of this new board policy. My sincere suggestion is this. Please make sure the district is consistent with the way it adopts the curriculum. And please be mindful and, again, be consistent with existing board policy AR 6161.1. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Dear board members and staff, my name is Ying Fan, a FUSD parent and a voter. I'm here reading the speech on behalf of Dr. Shakira Kerpaneni, who is not able to make it today, but still like her voice to be heard. So she says, I'm a board-certified gynecologist practicing in Fremont for over 30 years. Over the years, I have seen the age of becoming sexually active getting lower and lower with rising trepidation. 12 to 18-year-olds become with all kinds of sexually transmitted disease and other infections. Many want to get contraception. Most of them are polyamorous, over 70% of STDs at least once. Most of them are not getting married, and the infertility rate is very high because of the recurrent attacks of the pelvic inflammatory disease. Cervical cancer from HPV is also increasing. The lifelong problems of having multiple sexual partners from an early age marriage and a high incidence of infertility. This is secondary to pelvic inflammatory disease, which gives rise to chronic pelvic pain that have lasted a lifetime. Having followed numerous patients, it is crystal clear that abstaining from sex till one is ready to make a monogamous commitment is the only right way to avoid a lifeline of misery. Please do what AB 329 requires to include information that abstinence is the only certain way to prevent unintended pregnancy and HIV and other STDs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, one moment, please. If I can call speakers 31 to 40 come into the boardroom, and then also speakers 41 through 50 to please stand outside the boardroom.
Hi there. My name's Anirvan Chatterjee. I did sex ed in Fremont in 6th grade. I turned out fine. It's your job here today to balance a lot of different stakeholders. And we've heard from some parents today. But I also want to name some of the stakeholders that are also important to be thinking about. There are students, there are teachers, there are doctors, and there are LGBTQ community members. And I hope you're paying a little bit of attention to what they're saying. So there are over 1,000 students and recent alumni from the Fremont Unified School District who sent you a letter a couple of days ago asking for more comprehensive LGBTQ inclusive sex ed. We all are here because we think students are important. I hope you actually listen to what students are saying. A lot of the students wish they had it. Some of the students are as young as 4th grade, and they're demanding that they get the education that they did deserve to get in school. So students are almost uniformly in favor of comprehensive LGBTQ inclusive sex ed, and that's why you're not seeing a long line of students here demanding less education. The second group are teachers. The Fremont Unified School District Teachers Association has come out in favor of comprehensive, early LGBTQ inclusive sex ed. There's a handful of teachers who may feel a little bit uncomfortable about it, but FATA represents most of the teachers in this district, and I think it's incredibly important to look at them as a stakeholder. We just heard from a single doctor who has some concerns about sex ed, but you've received a letter from 88 different doctors and medical professionals and researchers standing up for LGBTQ inclusive, comprehensive sex ed. There are people from Kaiser, Stanford, UCSF. I hope you pay attention to the people that we trust to take care of our children. And finally, you received a letter from 34 different LGBTQ organizations demanding comprehensive, early LGBTQ inclusive sex ed. Please pay attention to all the stakeholders. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a mother of two, and I'm standing here to strongly express my concern about the curriculum that will be adopted in the sexual education, because it conveys too much misleading information in that. And as a parent, I do support an appropriate sex education, but not this one. And here are the reasons. First, it encourages teenagers to have sexual intercourse in this already sexually active world. And second,
It emphasized on how easily this sexual transmitted disease can be treated, but purposely forget to mention how harmful this can be to human bodies. And last but not least, it intentionally ignores parents' role in the entire curriculum. It teaches kids how they can have babies or abort without parents' consent, even if they are very young. So this is very terrifying. And I remember when I was a teenager, I refused to communicate with my parents. I even hate them. But until now, I realized that the only people will support me without any conditions, they are my parents as well. So please, the curriculum should be a bridge between parents and kids, but not destroy our relationship. And these are our children. This is our community. So I really hope that you can leave the decisions to us, to all us parents, so we can have a more appropriate sex education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, honorable board members. My name is Li-Ning Wan, a Fremont parent and voter. I'm here to present you a binder with almost 7,000 signatures of people who oppose the 3R curriculum. We parents are not against sex education, but we're definitely against one-sided, non-age appropriate sex education. 3R is not compliant with the law AB 320. Education Code 51934 for 7th and 9th grade mandates information that abstinence from sexual activity and injection drugs use is the only certain way to prevent HIV and other sexual unintended pregnancy. However, the word abstinence is rarely mentioned in the whole curriculum. As a parent, when I reviewed the instructional guide, I find it very disturbing. For example, on surrendering a baby, it makes it sound like donating a piece of unwanted clothes, while in reality, this causes long-term mental and psychological damage on the teenage mother and the child. On giving up a child for adoption, it only has a video about the best case scenario of an open adoption, when in reality, most adopting families do not allow this type of connection. If by luck, the given away child does meet with birth parents later on in life, the birth parents are often greeted with much resentment. When it tells underage kids they can go to get medical treatments without their parents, it does not mention these children the severe stress this puts them under, hiding from people who love them the most, while these parents would be very happy to support whatever they need. I can go on and on with the list. In sum, please vote no on 3R curriculum. Thank you very much.
Dear board members, my name is Danielle, and I have two sons. The younger son is in 9th grade of Irvington High School. I'm here to say, please stop 3R and choose a better education curriculum. 3R is not a comprehensive education curriculum. It only has a sex-related lessons, and it is not good for our children's health. 3R is pushing our children in the danger of pornographic addiction. In 8th grade lesson, using condom effectively, besides step-by-step instruction from the teacher in class, there is a homework for students to finish in 1 week. It's called media hunting. Did they use condom effectively? The students need to find 3 videos, including TV shows or movies, which should have a scenario that a couple use condom in sexual relationship. After they find them, the students need to record on a sheet of paper and analyzing whether the couple used condom effectively, and they have to describe the thing. To complete the homework, the students need to spend a lot of time searching for the video and pushing our children to watch every details of each video. So my dear school board members, please think about it. What kind of video or TV shows or movies should have such scenes where a couple use condoms and talk about the condom. Isn't the 3R exposing our children into pornographic video and endanger them in a porn addiction? How many hours will our 8th grade students have in their already busy schedule? So this lesson is definitely sexualizing our children. So I want my sons and my grandchildren to be healthy people. Please
Thank you.
stop 3R.
I'm Diane Jones. This is Caroline Kochvaser. The diversity in this community is part of the reason why my husband and I chose to live in Fremont and raise our children here. Like everyone, I was deeply concerned when I learned of an offensive post made by a community member. This post was not made by the Save Fremont sex ed organizers, and we quickly posted a public response addressing it. There's great diversity on both sides of this issue. Diversity in all forms is to be celebrated, not ridiculed. Whether or not I agree with everyone in this room, the fact that we are here means we are engaged and care about our students. We all want parents to have access to materials in various languages and remain involved. We want opt-out lessons to be well-defined and meaningful. We all want our students to have complete health education covering all content areas. We have heard that it is the 3Rs curriculum that is dividing us. This is not true. Over the last 14 years, I have had students in FUSD. I have seen this division every time the district addresses sex ed. We saw this division in 2009 when the district adopted Flash over Teen Talk under the threat of imminent litigation. There were disagreements over the 2011 elementary adoption. In 2014, the division was so deep over a proposed high school health text that FUSD made national news. Just last year, objections by parents stalled the implementation of supplemental material that would have brought the district into compliance with the law, and there were new objections to the existing junior high Flash curriculum. Had the district proposed any other compliant curriculum, we would have seen this divide. It is important to listen to diverse ideas, compromise when possible, and come to common ground. There are times, however, when tough decisions must be made. That's where we are tonight. No matter what decision you make this evening, a large group of us are going to leave feeling angry, disappointed, upset. We are all engaged parents, we're voters, this is the difficult reality. But as board trustees, your responsibility is primarily to our students. Now is the time to make a decision about what is best for them. What do medical and psychological professionals recommend? What do sexual health educators and violence prevention advocates recommend? What do content standards say is appropriate? Most importantly, what are our students telling you they want and need? Our students may not be the ones who vote for you, but you work on behalf of them. For the families who can opt out of these lessons, trust that these caring and engaged parents will teach their children what they would like them to know in the way and at the time they feel is most appropriate for their children. I implore you not to deny access to this critically important sexual health content to the students and families who want and need it, simply because those who can opt out are unhappy with that legally available option. Do not risk costly litigation by remaining out of compliance with Ed Code for yet another year. Please adopt the board policy and instructional guides before you. Thank you.
Hello, board members and Dr. Wallace. My name is Robert Larish, a Fremont resident for more than 20 years and a parent of 2 current and 1 former FUSD student. As a board, I know you are all facing some very difficult decisions today, and no matter what you decide, a large group of us will go home disappointed. We've had a lot of discussion about the pros and cons of this curriculum and of the policy that you would be adopting, but I would ask at this time for the board members to think ahead to next year and what your decisions today will mean for the coming year. As a brief background, we know that sexual health education is not a new controversy in Fremont. For more than a decade, changes to the sexual health curriculum have sparked active and vocal debates. If there's one thing we can agree on in this room, it is that we're all passionate about having the best for our children, and we are willing to stand up for them. We also, unfortunately, are very passionate about our disagreements with this particular subject. And the challenge I see before us is I don't see any reason why this will change in the next year. Therefore, let us think about what next year may look like should this board policy not pass and the 3Rs curriculum not be adopted. FUSD will once again find itself out of compliance with the law, and that means we will have another public discussion like this one. If 3Rs does not pass, that means another year of curriculum review, more parental feedback. Maybe we will look at Positive Prevention Plus or Puberty and Teen Talk. Both of those curriculums have content at least as controversial as what some of the opponents of the sex ed think are in 3Rs. Maybe this will be done in the Curriculum Instruction Committee. Maybe another committee will be formed like HESAC was done in the past, where the diverse community will get together and try to find a non-existent common ground. Today's a day when the board, I believe, needs to make a very tough decision, and next year you'll have to worry about budget issues, teacher pay, facilities improvements, all of those things to resolve, and I think it's not what the board needs to do to spend its energy preparing for another debate on sex ed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, community members of the Fremont Unified School District, my name is Leo, and I'm here to speak to you today, not only as an FUSD alumni, but as someone who started going through puberty in the 4th grade. I was lucky enough that despite the fact that when I was in elementary school, sex ed started in the 5th grade, that I had parents that could teach me about these things. But not everybody in this district has parents with the time or resources to do that. Some people even have language barriers with their parents. Sexual health, LGBTQ issues, and consent with people who are qualified and comfortable speaking on them. And that's why this curriculum is so important to me. It gives every student in this district an equal chance to know these core lessons when they need to know them before puberty starts, and it gives them an equal chance to benefit from the things that we've seen come out of comprehensive sex ed. This curriculum isn't about giving our children too much too soon. It's about preventing too little too late. According to Georgetown University and the Gutenberg study, sex ed delays sex, lowers pregnancy rates in younger people as young as 15 years old, and lowers rates of non-consensual sex. So, for boys, it was lowered to 1/3. For girls, 1/2. Is this not significant? Members of the board, please vote to keep 3Rs. Keep these lessons for every person in our community, not just the ones who have parents who can teach them. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and dear board trustees. Good evening. Yeah, I come here. I found out, we have so many people come here.
Please introduce yourself, your name,
okay.
please.
My name is Rong Yue. I'm an engineer. So I want to look at a problem on the other direction. I want to see, you need a solution, right? So I come here, try to help. So first thing we find out, we have something in common. That is, we all come here for a better sex education program. Is that right? Yeah. But whether it's better or worse, we have different judgment. So at least, we should have different choices, right? Otherwise, how can we tell this is better, the other is worse? So here, I make a point first here. This is in United States. This is not in North Korea, right? In United States, you select president, right? You have a bunch of candidates, and then you're going through transparent procedures to public, and eventually you got the president you like, right, by voting. But here, we just have, in North Korea, you don't have that choice because you just have one candidate, no voting, right? So here the same thing. Why we just stick to that 3R, sex education program? We want to have more candidates, more choice for us so that we can compare which one is better, right? So this is from my engineering standpoint. So if you want to say this solution is good, right? We want to see why this is good compared with the other one, right? And third point I want to make is sex is good.
Thank you.
Oh. But not for everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, dear board members, trustee, and superintendent. My name is Lucy Zhang. FUSD staff keep giving wrong information to parents. For example, the lesson must be taught from 4th to 6th grade. The lessons must be taught in co-ed class. Why was he lying? How can we trust the district? Staff continue to hide and cover up improper materials and links pointed out by parents and try to make the curriculum look wholesome. The online instructions keep changing, which created a lot of challenges for parents' review and providing feedback. How many times do I need to review the content? How do I know the district will not add or modify anything after my review? This attempt to falsify is deceptive, misleading, and wrong. Does the district think parents are blind or stupid? District removed links to amaze.org and all the objectionable sexually explicit materials only in English version. These contents are still in Mandarin and Spanish version. Will parents be fooled to think that the materials are indeed gone? Yes, they are listed as parent resource. But why? Why would parents need resources to cartoon points? How can we trust the district? Staff totally bypassed the board to push 3R in this spring. Their after-the-fact adoption of a new board policy makes their whole effort look even more suspicious. Wouldn't it make more sense if they take the time to carefully review and select the most appropriate material, instead of try to rush this suspicious curriculum in at the expenses of our children? Our children are not guinea pigs. Please do it right and restore our trust in you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lucy Shen, MSJ class of 2013, and I'm reading this on behalf of over 1,044 FUSD students who signed our letter in support of 4th through 6th grade sexual health education and the 3Rs curriculum. Dear trustees, we are students and recent alumni from Fremont Unified. It has come to our attention that the school board is considering removing our sex education in 4th through 6th grades. We're writing to you today to ask you to please save our sex ed. Many, if not most of us, started puberty before middle school. All of a sudden, your body becomes different in ways that can be embarrassing and sometimes kind of weird. And people start looking at you differently, you start looking at other people differently, you start thinking about yourself differently, and that can be a very stressful and frightening experience. Sometimes it can be very lonely. It's important that we're able to learn from a reliable, objective source about what we can expect from puberty before it happens. You have to understand that if we aren't learning about this in the classroom, we're learning about this on the internet, or on TV, or from the movies. And some of us can talk to our parents or other adults in our lives about puberty, but some of us can't. Some of us don't have a parent to talk to, or we don't feel safe talking to the adults in our lives, or we just aren't comfortable, or we have parents that tell us we're too young to be thinking about this anyways. We need to feel comfortable and normal in our bodies, to have words to talk about our bodies, our relationships, and things related to sex, not just for ourselves, but also so that we can seek help when it is necessary. We want to learn how to be responsible, thoughtful, and healthy people. For those of us who are now in middle school and high school, we were lucky enough to have had the opportunity to get that education from someone we trust, a Fremont teacher, so we knew what to expect. We were excited to hear that Fremont was looking at a new sex ed curriculum that is updated and relevant and has actually been reviewed by young people like us. But we're disappointed to learn that this vital information might be taken away from us. Please save our sex ed. Thank you from 1,044 plus students and recent alumni of FUSD.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm T. I attended Glenmore. I'm a registered voter, and I want to emphasize a very specific point to the board, especially you, Mr. Shao. This is super important. I hope you're listening, all of you. And I want you to think of this as coming from one individual citizen instead of as the green shirts as a whole. All of you. All right. The Earth goes around the sun. Everybody knows that. We know that because hundreds of scientists and studies across centuries of research and observation have proven that the Earth goes around the sun. You'd be really hard-pressed to argue otherwise. We have presented you with mountains of research and scientific data to support this curriculum. We've had registered medical professionals come up here and repeatedly talk about how dangerous and harmful it would be to slash this curriculum. The most educated people in the fields of childhood development worldwide very clearly support a comprehensive and inclusive sex ed curriculum that starts early. The science that these educated professionals engage in has produced a wealth of information about childhood sexuality, and the 3 R's were built around this factual information. So it's not even the fact that the scientists and doctors agree with the 3 R's, they literally are the 3 R's. The curriculum is made up of undeniable scientific fact, and it is glued together with hundreds of studies from different corners of science and medicine, all of them working hard to maintain transparency and eliminate bias where possible. Every single one of these studies is truthful about the population studied and the methods used, and there is no space for opinion. Science and medicine has made up their mind on this. The state has made up their mind on this. So have most of the schools in California. The reality is that eventually, comprehensive sex ed will be completely unavoidable because it is not based on an opinion or a feeling or the experience of one person. It is based on fact, and it is not based on anything else. Do you want to be the board that has to be forced by the state to change your sex ed because it is factually inaccurate? We all know that the sun does not go around the earth. So why are we arguing about this?
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Apranjita Connor, and I am currently an American high school student. Teenagers may enter high school as a child, but they will graduate as young adults. This 4-year period is transformational and full of growth, hardships, and self-discovery. It's also an experimental time, and for millions of teens, that means trying drugs and alcohol. Sadly, some teens doing drugs will suffer serious consequences as a result of substance use. Why do teenagers use drugs? There are countless reasons. Many are reacting to peer pressure and believe turning to drugs and alcohol is how they become popular in high school. Some use drugs to self-medicate from painful feelings. Some teens even turn to them to study aid drugs such as Adderall or Ritalin because they believe that these substances will boost their grades. High school is often the first time that children encounter illicit substances, and the curiosity can be too much to resist. 86% of high school students know someone who smokes, drinks, or uses drugs throughout the school day. This is a huge problem during the high school years. Nearly 44% of high school students know a classmate who sells drugs. Drugs and alcohol are pervasive issues at all high schools. The district just pretends you don't know about this issue. Has the district taken any action at all to address these issues? We need the school to teach us about alcohol, tobacco, and drug issues, and also the problems that come along with this. And this can be included as part of the total health curriculum. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Martha Krieger, and I know I've come before you guys to speak on a lot of issues, including mental health and education. And I've been speaking to this board for a really long time, almost seriously like 15 or 20 years. And this is probably the most difficult conversation I've ever had because it's personal to me. My children are wonderful. I moved here and wanted to give them the best childhood possible. I gave them the best education I could. I started them with the Good Vibrations Guide to Body and Sex in 3rd grade. I gave them really good, truthful, and honest information, and that was incredibly positive. Yet still, when my child came home in 8th or 9th grade, he'd had 3 years of bullying because someone thought he was gay. And I didn't know that. It's just that he was so badly hurt that day, I found out. And that happens all over Fremont. People need solid education. They need to be accepted as human beings. I did my best to do that for them. We have Title IX for a reason. Women are just as equal as men. We do not discriminate on the basis of gender or sexual orientation or color or ethnic background. I spent the last 18 months working on immigration issues, healthcare, and other things because I believe so profoundly that everyone deserves to be accepted. I love Sanctuary City for that reason. I love the safe haven rule for that reason. Everyone, including my child, has a right to believe that he's accepted. The day he told me he was gay, you know what I said? Awesome. I love you. I want you so badly to give me a grandchild because you'll be an awesome dad. Okay? So if you're going to not accept gay curriculum, if you're going to not say it's okay to be transgender, you're leaving out so many people who have a right to education and acceptance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Signs down, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Davis. I run the Just For Us LGBT Tobacco Prevention Project at Tri-City Health Center in Fremont. I'm reading this on behalf of 34 LGBTQ plus organizations who signed our letter in support of 4th through 6th grade sexual health education and the 3 R's curriculum. To the Fremont Unified School District Board, as organizations who work with the LGBTQ community, we strongly urge FUSD to provide evidence-based, comprehensive, LGBTQ inclusive sexual health education starting at the elementary school level without further delay. We understand that FUSD is facing opposition to the proposed curriculum guide. Some of this opposition has been assisted by the Pacific Justice Institute, an anti-LGBTQ hate group as designated by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The opposition website has posted information specifically calling out content related to gender identity as problematic. Learning about gender and gender identity is important for all students, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation, but it is critical for students who are transgender, especially as they enter puberty. We are concerned that opponents' misleading characterizations of the content appear to target Fremont's transgender students. Legally, the California Healthy Youth Act requires that sexual health and HIV prevention instruction include teaching about sexual orientation and gender and must explore the harm of negative gender stereotypes. These requirements apply to instruction in all grades where human development and sexual health are taught. According to a survey of students from 154 California schools, students whose health and sexuality classes expressed support for LGBTQ people were less likely to report bullying based on sexual orientation and gender expression. We hope that the Fremont Unified School District will stand firm in its commitment to provide fully LGBTQ plus inclusive, comprehensive sex education, and please do not allow the agenda of an anti-LGBTQ hate group to derail FUSD's efforts to comply fully with the California Healthy Youth Act. Sincerely, 34 LGBTQ plus organizations. The list includes Tri-City Health Center, Equality California, Queer South Asian National Network, Queer South Asian Collective, Asian and Pacific Islander Equality, Northern California, GSA Network, Trans Student Educational Resources, the LGBTQ Youth Space, National Center for Youth Law, Our Family Coalition, and many others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Dulaney. I am a parent of a student who was educated through the Fremont Unified School District and graduated Kennedy High. I've been a resident of Fremont since 1999, and I'm an active volunteer in the Fremont community. I support the district's decision to teach sex education in grades 4 through 6, and I ask the board to ensure this important information is taught in whole classroom mixed gender settings. I would like to read to you a comment from the Change.org petition, Protect Our Kids from Inappropriate Sexuality Health Education Curriculum, which many, if not all, of those opposed to the 3 R's curriculum have said they have signed. The following is a comment posted yesterday. Liberals are always trying to jam more sex and sexuality down kids' throats, especially when it comes to homosexuality and the current fad, the transgender, gender fluidity, multigender, whatever other kind of anti-science crap they're currently peddling. So-called transgenders are mentally disturbed, and none of this crap belongs in any classroom at any level. This is an example of some of the hateful comments Fremont students are reading from people who oppose sex ed in this district. We've also heard similar comments here in board meetings and during the parent preview nights. It's your job to make sure all students feel safe at school. Faced with comments like these, what message does it send to the LGBTQ plus students and Fremont community members if you fail to adopt an inclusive curriculum tonight? Please adopt the board policy and the 3 R's curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jessica Judd. I am the parent of 2 FUSD elementary students, a Fremont resident for 14 years, and am a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I support sex education in 4th through 6th grades and ask the board to ensure that this information is taught in whole classroom, mixed gender settings. Please adopt the 3 R's curriculum. Instruction on gender, gender identity, and gender expression is a mandated part of sex ed under the California Healthy Youth Act, even in elementary school. To be legally compliant, this content will stay the same in any curriculum chosen. The law requires that instruction affirmatively recognizes that people have different sexual orientations. This is critical in order to protect LGBTQ students, prevent their erasure, and to help all students from becoming both victims and perpetrators of harassment, bullying, and abuse. LGBTQ students deserve to learn about their bodies, identities, and experiences from trusted adults, and they should not have to do the labor of educating their peers, teachers, and about LGBTQ identities and issues. According to a recent California Healthy Kids survey, 70% of FUSD students hear LGBTQ plus and or gender-based slurs by 7th grade. When we don't teach inclusion, we tacitly teach discrimination, bullying, and harassment, which endangers and isolates LGBTQ students, making it very difficult for them to survive and thrive. Studies have shown that LGBTQ students are disproportionately less likely to feel safe in their schools. LGBTQ students are harmed by not having education that affirms their identity, and we need curriculum like the 3 R's that support students in understanding gender and that it is completely normal for people to have varied sexual orientations. Growing up, it was not safe for me to come out at school, and it was even less safe for friends of mine. We regularly heard homophobic and transphobic comments from teachers, coaches, and our peers. We feared violence and were incredibly isolated around our identities. Our schools failed us, and I had hoped that 30 years later, my children's schools would not be failing them and their peers. The board has the opportunity to turn them around and to not fail our students. Please adopt the 3 R's curriculum.
Thank you. It's now time for us to take a break, and we'll take a 15-minute break and come back at 6:20. But our exception of the speaker's request will stop at 6:15.
I'm going to run before they attack me because I'm starving.
Who brought this?
Who brought this? 192. What?
Who brought this?
Kim.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so was the volume like really low?
Welcome back to the special meeting of Fremont Unified School District on May 2nd, 2018. We will resume the open forum. Ms. Sandoval, could you call the next group of speakers?
Drink it. I'll buy a cocktail after I have it sent down and brought in here.
Speakers 51 to 60, if you could please come to the podium.
51 to 60. We have 200 now. Is that right? I thought we were at 40.
Speakers 51 to 60 to the podium, please. And also, if 61 through 70 could please line up in the boardroom.
So, Ms. Sandoval, how many cards have we received so far?
We are at 206.
206. How many have we gone through?
50.
50.
Here you go.
Please go ahead.
Can you reset the timer? Okay, thank you. Very good. My name is Jin Zhou, a father of a fourth grade at the Patterson Elementary School and a registered voter in Fremont. As I was reviewing and researching about 3R, sex education, I was so alarmed when the profile of a child molester strategy came up. According to the Michael Himback of the Criminal Investigation Division, Crimes Against Children Unit, FBI, who testified before a U.S. Senate committee on May 1st, 2002. Child molesters use 4 strategies. First, demonstrate sex acts to children. Second, lower the sexual inhibitions of children. Third, desensitize children to sex. Fourth, sexually arouse children. So they use 4 strategies, those sex offenders. First, sex offenders commonly use pornography to teach or give instructions to naive children about how to masturbate, perform oral sex, or engage in sexual intercourse. Second, lower the sexual inhibitions of children. Sex offenders show pictures of other children engaging in sexual activities to overcome those fears, indicating to their intended victims that it is all right to have sex with an adult because not all other boys and girls do the same thing. Third, desensitize children to sex. Sex offenders commonly show child pornography to their intended victims to expose them to sexual acts before they are naturally curious about such activities. Fourth, sex offenders commonly use images of other children to arouse victims, particularly those in adolescence. As far as I think, I use all 4 of these strategies. Thank you very much.
My name is Tara Dad. I have lived in Fremont for 22 years. My children have attended FUSD schools since 2005. I support the district's decision to teach sex education in grades 4 through 6 and continuing through high school and in mixed gender settings. Please adopt the board policy and the 3Rs curriculum. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I'm the oldest of my siblings. I studied education and child development, and I worked with children in many settings throughout my teens and early 20s. When my kids arrived, I thought I was prepared, but I soon learned what all parents do. Kids don't come with instructions. They surprise us at every age and at every stage. Parenting is nonstop and never-ending, and we all want to do it right. Some of my most significant and instructive moments as a parent have been the times when I realized my own limitations, the limitations in my expertise, and the limitations of the control I have over my children's world. As our kids grow, so do the influences in their lives. Often that is wonderful. We have all heard it takes a village to raise a child. And I am profoundly grateful for the family, friends, teachers, coaches, faith leaders, and other mentors who stand with me and my husband as we continue to raise our kids. But it is also troubling to think of everything our kids can access and investigate, often without our knowledge or our consent. I have had conversations with my kids about things they have seen and heard that I wish they hadn't. I'm sure they have felt uncertain and confused about things they have chosen not to share with me. Those are the moments that worry me. Our kids are observant. Our kids are curious. Our kids are living inside of their own growing and changing bodies. They are seeing changes in their friends and their peers, and they are exposed to references to sexuality and other adult themes on TV, in movies, in pop music, and all over social media. Regardless of what controls we may set for our kids in real time or on their devices, we don't fully control their environment. If it is objectionable that students who attend a health and sex ed class might share information from the curriculum on the playground, how much worse is it that they are already sharing the nonsense they find on the internet instead? Because let's be honest, kids talk to each other. They ask each other questions, and they like to think they have the answers. Let's empower them with accurate information. I am absolutely certain that every one of us is here because we want what is best for our children. However, despite that common ground of our good intentions, it is clear that there is disagreement about what is best when it comes to health and sex education in our schools. As much as I want to provide all the answers and all the support that my kids need, there are things I don't know. There are things my kids won't discuss with me. A comprehensive health and sex education curriculum is a critically important tool that our schools can provide for our kids to supplement them what I am able to give them at home. Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, fellow speakers, and audience. My name is Esther Lau, and I'm a student at Hopkins Junior High School. I would like to clarify that we respect all people, not all dependent on their gender, sexual orientation, race, or origin. We are here tonight to defend my right, as well as that of many other children. Yes, we have a right to be who we are at the age we are, at the physical developmental stage we are, and at the mental emotional readiness we are. Don't prey on our vulnerability or innocence. Let us enjoy our childhood. Let us transition comfortably at our own pace. In the classic Pinocchio story, the night before Pinocchio was going to become a real boy, he was supposed to be at home before it was dark, but he followed his friend Lampwick to board the wagon, heading for the Happy Land instead. After 5 months of fun, he found himself down with donkey fever and became a donkey in the end. We, the children of FUSD, will be in a similar situation if we are taught to use our sexual right whenever we feel we are physically and emotionally ready, even in elementary school. We need to know the consequences like STIs, pregnancies, etc., so that we would avoid boarding a 3-hour wagon to the early sex land and turn into someone we did not plan to be.
Good evening, board members, fellow speakers, and audiences. My name is Selena Song, and I am a student at Hornier Junior High School. Before I start, I'd like to clarify that we respect people not at all dependent on their gender, sexual orientation, race, or origin. We are still children. We are still vulnerable. We are still innocent. Some of us who have opted out of the past 3 years of elementary health ed are new, coming in this year with a fresh mind, no experience, and no idea of what's coming next. Do we really want them to be hit with a wave of sexual information, not a total health education, scarring them, making them uncomfortable, afraid of what their future brings? So many of the parents in Fremont, almost 7,000, have signed a petition pleading FUSD to adopt a new total health curriculum. We've come to every board meeting since March, urging you to take the right action. Please, adopt a new health curriculum which addresses all aspects of health, so we can grow into well-rounded, physically, emotionally, mentally healthy individuals. Don't rush us through our childhood and youth before our time. Let us enjoy the rest of our childhood. Let us transition comfortably at our own pace, not being hit by extra information in a short 2 weeks. Can we trust you in bringing us up? Can we really trust you? Therefore, I urge you to adopt a new and total health curriculum, teaching us about what we're going through, but at the same time, preserving our childhood. Thank you.
Next one.
Good evening, trustee. My name is Betty Bai, coming from Mission San Jose, and I'm a lawful voter. Before I read my notes, I'm going to address another to the trustee as well. You probably see all the sign, you hear all the parents here. No one here against sex ed. What we are preferring is total health. We want a better curriculum, that's all. We're not against LGBT plus. Nothing. None of the parents here individually are presented by any organizations. So good evening, proud trustees and you all who made time to attend this meeting. My name is Betty. I bet March 28 meeting and tonight meeting will sure make a mark on FUSD board meeting history. However, even with hundreds of parents spoken up with concerns and asked tens of questions without being addressed, the board passed the first reading. Now it's even more disappointing to see staff's recommendations for the second reading, because it shows clearly again how poorly the 3R curriculum's process is and how little parents' concerns and voice mean to the board and the district and the staff. Apparently, a few staffs here seems to be in a huge urge and hurry to revive this board policy in order to adopt 3R curriculum. Board policy show right here, BPAR 61.1, selection of instructional materials, requires to form adoption selection committee. Where is it? How will this BPAR 6142.3 make reference to BPAR 61.1 even this one's not even exist? The rules are broken. Have staffs carefully review sexual health curriculums adopted by other neighboring districts which have similar racial makeup as us. Why FUSD has to be the only school district that is trying to use this so-called free 3R. Nothing free in this world. Not free is not always good. That's what Ms. Smitty said. And to teach sex ed in the co-ed formats, starting from 4th grader in our school. There are many other mistakes as what previous speakers are pointing out, and you may hear more from other later speakers. With this many mistakes repeatedly, a lot of accurate curriculums and age-appropriate curriculums is diminishing more and more. So here, all the trustees,
Thank you
please
so much.
do your job. Thank you.
Dear respected board members and staff, good evening. I'm Cynthia, parent of a 4th grader at Patterson Elementary. I'm here to speak about the importance given to abstinence in 3R. I very well understand that this is comprehensive sex education and I'm not proposing an abstinence-only education. Advocates of youth tells comprehensive sex education should teach that abstinence from sexual intercourse is the most effective method of preventing unintended pregnancy and STIs, including HIV. CA Law AB 329 also says so. Upon my review of the curriculum, I noticed abstinence is not given needed attention. In fact, abstinence is undermined. Here are the references. In grade 6, lesson 5, 3R compares abstaining from sex with abstaining from eating sugar. It says eating sugar in moderation is good and it lets them enjoy sugar without having negative consequences. It says that in the same way, having sex is good when both people are ready. The below is the definition of abstinence from Planned Parenthood. Abstinence is when you don't have sex. And from teen resources of kidshealth.org, abstinence is not having sex. 3R introduces abstinence as waiting to have vaginal, oral, or anal sex. Waiting to have sex is different from saying you don't have sex. This is sending wrong message to students. In grade 7, in the risk for STI, abstinence from sexual activity has minimal references and no emphasis and is in violation of Ed Code 51934 para 3. In 9th grade, I found very valid message on abstinence from a PowerPoint video, but that doesn't belong to 3R. Thanks to the district, on adding that video. It's very informational and much better than 3R. 3R teaches not to shame those who do have sex, but it fails to teach to respect individuals on their personal choice of staying abstinent. The following is a message on abstinence from kidshealth.org teen resource, a popular site reviewed by pediatricians. Here's the message. If it seems like everybody else is having sex, some people may feel they have to do it. They have to do it too, just to be accepted. Don't let kidding or pressure from friends, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or even the media push you into something that's not right for you. It also says that a couple can still have a relationship without having sex. If you have made a decision not to have sex, it's an important personal choice, and the people who cares about you should respect that. Such message is essential for young children as part of comprehensive sex education, and the message is reinforced by California law and advocates of youth as well. 3R clearly misses those. Please don't rush into teaching 3R. Our children deserve a better curriculum. Please help us rebuild our trust in you, FUSD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speakers,
Hello, board
excuse me,
members.
speakers 61 to 70, please come to the board. Speakers 61 to 70.
Hello, board members. This is Kate Amon, and I am Stefan Wooding. I am a queer Chinese Filipino American and graduate of Mission San Jose High School. I have two topics to get to, but it's really about one topic, and that's total health. First, let's talk about the total health of LGBT students. According to the CDC, family and social acceptance of orientation and gender identity affects the mental health and personal safety of LGBT individuals. Now, this community claims to respect the concerns of the LGBT community, which I so desperately want to believe. Who can explain to me then why so many of my LGBT peers in this Fremont Unified School District face uphill battles in gaining acceptance from their own parents after coming out? Who can explain to me why members of our own Fremont community are calling the identities of our transgender students anti-science crap? Looking at the reality we inhabit, do you wonder why LGBT people are 3 times more likely than straight people to have a mental illness and 4 times more likely to self-harm, experience suicidal thoughts, or attempt suicide? We have work to do as a Fremont community. We must do better. An article linked to by the group Fremont Parents claims that sex ed is an effort to change culture, and I sure hope it is. If we don't create a better culture of acceptance where we look out for the total health of our LGBT students, including the most basic step of accepting their identities, then we fail them. We must do better, and 3Rs does. Now, I still have time, 1 minute and 39 seconds, so I'd like to change gears and talk about consent. So I support discussions about consent taking place in Fremont Unified Schools as early as possible and as soon as possible. Just as we teach toddlers to use their words and ask permission, we should have in-classroom discussions about taking a stand against bullying, being clear with friends, and understanding boundaries, as in grades 4, 5, and 6 of the 3Rs curriculum, respectively. The children served by Fremont Unified not only deserve to know, but must know, how to recognize signs of bullying, child sex abuse, and intimate partner violence in their community and even in their own lives. They must feel empowered to respond, knowing that they have the confidence of their adult caregivers and trusted community members behind them. If they can't do these things, how can we claim to care about their total health? These are difficult conversations to inform our children about because it involves violation of personal agency, and those are never age appropriate. And that's why we must have them early and often, like 3Rs does. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Taft. I deal with data a lot, so I try to look at this curriculum from data and science biology perspective. I did some research, and these are my research results, materials. If anyone has interest, I can share with you. I only have one topic to share with you because time limit. 3R curriculum is not in compliance with AB 329. AB 329 requires that all factual information presented shall be medically accurate and objective. In grade 8, lesson 8, the material says, condoms offer extremely effective protection against most STIs. This is not true. The truth is, according to FDA website, I quote, When used consistently and correctly, condoms are highly effective in preventing HIV and other STDs that spread via body fluid. However, they provide less protection against STDs spreading through skin-to-skin contact, like human papilloma virus, genital herpes, and syphilis. Plus, when used correctly, it means perfect use. Very few individuals can manage to use it perfectly. That's the truth. The effectiveness of condom use to prevent STD transmission depends on many situations. First, germs and sperm can escape around the edge. At most, protection against HIV has an estimated 80% reduction in risks of transmission with perfect use during vaginal intercourse. If you do the math, as one of the earlier speakers already did, the effectiveness of overall protection is very weak. Second, anal sex has been estimated to be at least 20 times riskier than vaginal sex itself, plus condoms more likely to fail during anal sex. This is just one example, and there are many of mistakes like this in 3R curriculum, and any of them can seriously harm the children, regardless their gender orientation. This claim is based on hard science and biology and data published on CDC and FDA website. When truth and false are clearly laid in front of each of us, like white and black, so clear, if we still pass this SR, then we are lying to ourselves. We are lying to the children, all the children, regardless of their gender. We have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chen. I'm here to read the script written by one of my fellows. Some proponents of 3R curriculum may claim that they have support of over 1,000 students. Let's talk about how that support actually came about. Several alumni of Mission San Jose High School have gone around and made misleading statements such as hundreds of sex ed opponents have shown up to the school board meeting to protest. 4th to 6th grade sex ed is in danger of being removed entirely. And sex ed opponents are backed by a designated anti-LGBT hate group. So these people frame parents who voice about 3R, who voice concern about 3R as people who want to eliminate sex education altogether. When students hear misleading statements like this and they have no time to check about the claim, they just blindly sign the petition. Interestingly, we interviewed some of the students who came to the board meeting. We asked whether they have examined the curriculum. The answer was no. They actually have no idea what they are fighting for. If the students who actually show up to the board meeting have not done their homework, do you think the students who merely signed the online petition know what they are actually supporting? Thank you.
Hello, trustees. My name is Leslie Kearns Gupta, and I am reading this on behalf of the 226 FUSD parents who signed our letter in support of 4th through 6th sexual health education and the 3Rs curriculum. Dear trustees, we are concerned parents from Fremont Unified who are asking you to continue providing sex education to our students in 4th to 6th grade and to approve the proposed instructional guides that use lessons from the 3Rs curriculum. Please protect this important component of elementary school instruction for our children. When our kids go through puberty, they look to us for guidance. But sometimes we don't have all the answers. That's why teaching factually accurate, up-to-date health and science, including sex education, is what we expect from all our schools. Let's face it, talking about sex in school can catch us off guard, especially when it's a change from our own experiences. But we all want the best education for students, and that means giving kids accurate information about the changes their bodies go through and how to tackle big issues like consent, puberty, bullying, and sexual feelings. Providing the best education for our students means that we expect you to choose curricula based on your expertise as educators and administrators, not based on politics. We expect you to provide instruction, select curricula like the 3 Rs that meet legal requirements, state content standards, and that have been developed by top-tier educators and policy experts with input from doctors and parents. Please vote to preserve sex education for our 4th through 6th grades, and please approve the proposed instructional guides for sex education. We all want the best for students in Fremont Unified, and we're in this together. It's our job to give our kids good guidance, and it helps us do our jobs when you do yours. Thank you, parents of FUSD.
Hi, my name is Teresa Betancourt. I am an employee of Fremont Unified, but I'm here speaking as a parent. I'm not here to tell you whether I approve or oppose the 3R curriculum, because I am affected by it. I have a 5th and 8th grader. I'm here to remind you about a few things that shouldn't be overlooked. The majority of the parents here tonight might be the loudest voice, but they're not the only voice in Fremont. We elected you, I elected you to be the voice of all students, to represent all students. I elected you to make decisions, whether they are challenging or easy, popular or not, with what is in the best interest for the students, what is in the best interest for my children, based on the facts from the experts. You have done your part by informing the community. The first time your panel of experts sat before you, there wasn't a parent in this audience. I listened for part of it for why they recommended the 3R curriculum. You have sent emails. I have an email on my phone from October. You have sent flyers home to me as a parent. You have given me access to the curriculum. Parents' beliefs should not dictate the choices that are given to me about curriculum. Yes, this is an uncomfortable topic for some, but I should be given the right to evaluate this curriculum, decide if it is right for my children or not right. I have always been given a choice. Don't take that choice away from me now. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and staff. My name is Claudio Souza, and I am a parent of Irvington High School student and a registered voter. AB 329 does not require sex education to be taught in 4th through 6th grade, but only once in 7th and once in 9th grade. None of our neighboring school districts teach 3 Rs or start sex education in 4th grade all the way through 9th grade. New Haven and Milpitas teach only once in middle school and once in high school. Cupertino teaches 7th through 9th grade. Palo Alto teaches 5th through 7th and once in high school. San Jose starts at 7th grade, to name a few. Why does our school district want to teach kids so early on and in so many grade levels? No one is teaching 4th grade and no one is using 3 Rs. Has the district looked to our sex ed curriculum used by other school districts? Has the district done any survey or research to find out the average age of puberty in our school district? Please do not go beyond the requirements of the law or the practices of the neighboring school districts to teach sex and to students at such a young age. Not only is the age inappropriate, it is culturally insensitive. Based on our attorney's opinion to the school district meeting on March the 28th, if the instruction is inconsistent with AB 329, Fremont Unified School District will be in violation of the law. Take a good look at our student population. Please do not give age inappropriate and culturally insensitive instruction to our children and risk violating the law. Can we trust the board to make the right decision? Can the board look into the curriculum? Thank you.
Good evening.
board and staff. My name is Juping Lang, and this is Roping Shu, who is a parent in Fremont Unified. And I have been a Fremont resident since 1981. So I am a FUSD alumni. I graduated from Walters, Irvington High School, and after graduating from Berkeley, I came back and I taught here actually for 17 years. I was at the Mandarin Immersion program when it was first started. And I want to share 2 points. And one thing is I know for sure that transparency and trust has always been our district's motto. And right now I'm a parent on the other end, so this is really important, I believe, to you, to me, to us. But in the adoption process of this particular sex healthcare instruction, it was not so. There were so many confusions. And so first I would like to respectfully point out a few errors in the second reading of the BPAR 6142.3. Now, not only are the numbers off starting page 2 of 7 on the administrative regulations, the highlighted portion on page 6 is also very confusing. And I like to quote, "The notice of sexual health instruction will be given at the beginning of the school year," unquote, but it does not specify when the sexual health instruction will start. Paragraph 2 says, quote, "Parents, guardians have a right to excuse their child prior to instruction being taught, but alternative curriculum will be made available if at least 2 weeks' notice is given," unquote. Now, how would the parents and guardians know when they can opt out their kids if they don't know when the sex ed is going to be taught? And if they don't opt out their kids 2 weeks in advance, then no alternative curriculum will be available to their kids? What lessons will their kids get if no alternative curriculums are available to them? How can parents check if the alternative curriculum to decide whether it's a viable option? Please clarify the language. Help us to trust in the district, to be careful not to make so many mistakes, not only with the board policy, but also with the selection of sexual health curriculum. And I just want to clarify also that from the earlier speakers, really, what objections against the 3R curriculum is not objections against the LGBTQ community. And I feel like there was an equation that is being drawn. I want to clarify that is not so. I really believe that our next generation, as a professional educator, I really believe that they deserve, quote, and quoting a previous speaker, amazing young lady, she said, objective, reliable source. And they deserve it, but 3R is not yet. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Lena Yin. You've seen me before. I am an alum of FUSD, an older sister of a currently enrolled junior, and a resident of Fremont. I support the district's decision to teach sex ed in grades 4 through 6 and ask to ensure that this is taught in whole classroom mixed gender settings. Please adopt the board policy in the 3Rs curriculum. I know the trustees understand that even in 4th through 9th, the 3Rs curriculum covers requirements of CHIA, California Healthy Youth Act, and the age-appropriate California Ed Code like gender, sexual orientation, and healthy relationships. No matter what curriculum the district goes with, if it is a legally compliant one, this content will stay similar, so please keep that in mind when you vote. I believe everyone here is for the kids, so please listen to them. Over 1,000 verified students and alums from our district are telling you this, unlike, as you are aware, the 7,000 petition signatures that are from every corner of the country. Some of the students are unable or afraid to speak here tonight, but they've made their choice clear to you. Also, since the validity of the letter was questioned, here's a KQED article with a picture of a parent saying no sex ed 4 through 6 on the front. I'm so happy to hear everyone here wants to support 4 through 6 now, except for the person who spoke just earlier, but that was not the case before. So please listen to this letter, you can also see the student comments I sent to you that confirm their understanding that this is important and that they wish they had more education, not less. The board members have the responsibility to protect every child from the society and the reality they are living in now. Whether or not we teach kids in school, they are digital natives and they will get their answers. This was the experience of my classmates, and that about how to proceed with an unplanned pregnancy without their parents' consent, a concern that was brought up earlier. Or which are legitimate grievances and which are not. You've heard from medical professionals and experts about the facts already. I'm as well as students, not to scrap this curriculum only for this to come up again with a new curriculum next year. Parents of the 3 R's curriculum. Over 1,000 of us who are or were educated by FUSD and future students are counting on you.
Public speakers 71 to 80 and 81 to 90. If you can please stand at the boardroom.
Are we ready? Thank you. Can we Thank you. Hi, my name is Angel Chang, and next to me is Sarah Zhang. Serve in the CNI committee. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today and going through this journey with us, because I know how much you have put in, the dedication, the hard work. Otherwise, we won't be here today. So thank you for your time. And before I start, I want to clarify something. We're not here because we oppose sex education. We're here because we oppose 3R. According to the 3R website, 3R is written with the intention of promoting European approach in California. I can understand how this might work if we live in Quebec, Canada. But we live in Fremont, where 74% of the students are Asians. Asians develop differently than Europeans. I've also heard people say that some students develop earlier, and therefore we should teach earlier. That's like saying some fourth graders are more academically advanced, and so therefore, as a school district, we should adopt 5th grade and 6th grade materials to all the 4th graders. Oh, and by the way, parents, if you don't like that, you can opt out. Does that make sense to you? Another reason why we oppose 3R is because it's not a complete curriculum. According to the link provided by the ACLU Northern California website, it says as a national curriculum, 3R does not have all the specific content as required by California. You might wonder then, are there other curricula that is in compliance with the California Healthy Youth Act? Yes. For example, just one out of many in compliance curricula, PPP is one of them. According to the California Adolescent Sexual Health Work Group, PPP is a comprehensive curriculum written specifically for use in California and is available in English and Spanish. There is also a version for special ed students. So as a committee member, I urge you to please let us review all available curricula before we choose the best one for Fremont. Because the parents have given hundreds of feedback online and in person, but they are not taken into consideration. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, dear FUSD board trustees and FUSD staff. My name is Radhika and I am a parent of a 6th grader in FUSD. Today I want to bring to notice about a court opinion on the fleeting expletives usage in live shows in 2009. The court criticized the Federal Communications Commission for failing to ban the fleeting expletives usage as harmful first blows. In the ruling, the court has said children mimic the behavior they observe, or at least the behavior that is presented to them as normal or appropriate. Programming replete with one-word indecent expletives will tend to produce children who use such expletives. The same comparison I want to bring up here. Exposure to erotic pedagogy tends to produce children who think such behavior is acceptable. The use of obscenity exemption to expose children to indecent texts and images under the color of sex education is precisely the kind of unconscionable experimentation on children that the Supreme Court rejected in that particular case. And that's the same thing we are fighting against for. We are raising our voice to protect our children. Before I finish, I want to reiterate here that we are not anti-sex education group or anti-LGBTQ plus group. What we are asking for is teach appropriate education. Teach about puberty, teach about different sexualities, teach about sex. But please teach them at the right age. Teach the right thing at the right age. There are components in this 3R curriculum in each grade, which is too much too soon for that particular grade. And that's what we as parents are concerned about. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Loren Dees. I'm a senior at John F. Kennedy High School. I'd like to begin by thanking the Board of Trustees for allowing me to speak right now. I am a teenager, which means that I'm becoming independent and forming my own opinions. I don't always agree with my parents, but important issues, such as the one that is being discussed today, don't leave room for disagreement. Those of us who are here advocating for reform are not against any group of people. We're simply against students receiving improper information at a critical time in their lives. I have many friends and peers from various backgrounds who identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community, and we respect and care for each other. I fully support an age-appropriate approach to sex education. However, the 3Rs curriculum seems to promote and glorify the act of sex among children. It crosses the line between what the kids need to know now and special, intimate experiences that should only take place when they are mentally, emotionally, and physically capable of handling the positive or negative consequences of their actions. Rather than introducing children to information that they don't have the capacity to understand, the focus should be on preparing them for the physical changes that they will be going through in their life in the upcoming years, and ensuring that the consequences of sexual activities are taught. Combining this with equipping teachers with up-to-date information that is suitable for the classroom and encouraging students to ask questions is comprehensive sex education. This is why we are calling for a change in the proposed curriculum. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to remind the audience to keep the applause short because then we really short, so we can get this going.
Board of Trustees, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Lily Sailele, and I am a resident of Fremont and proud parent of a senior at JFK High School. I'm here today to stand with my community and ask that we, students, parents, educators, and concerned citizens, go back to the table to develop together and approve and implement a sex education curriculum that is truly fact-based and all-inclusive. The curriculum that is up for vote today contains information that has been deliberately distorted to make it appear on the surface to be sound. However, you don't have to dig deep into the details to discover that it is not age appropriate for our children. And in fact, some of the content makes me feel like I'm viewing cartoon character porn. Our community is not against sex ed. We do stand together against this particular free curriculum being proposed. There are no fact-based studies that point to this curriculum as having produced members of society that were better off due to explicit details about sex being presented to them at a younger age. Honorable board members, the children are our future. Our community has entrusted you to make decisions that are in the best interest of all children. We beg you to work with us to find an alternative sex education curriculum. Thank you.
Honorable board members, this is Marcia Squire, resident of Fremont and parent. I'm Dr. Sonia Khan, Director of Pediatric Crisis Solutions, also the mother of a Muslim American junior at Mission San Jose. I'm also a board-certified pediatrician, fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics. We've had a sex ed curriculum for grade 4 to 6 since 2011. Going backwards now would be, not metaphorically, but literally regressive. There is a higher rate of suicide and school dropout in LGBTQ youth, due in part to the discrimination and bullying perpetuated against them by students, sometimes staff, and apparently other parents as well. Thanks to them, all children now need to be told explicitly about atypical gender identities and sexual orientations. Claims that kids will somehow be induced to choose this status are ungrounded. Regardless, they have basic civil rights to be in a safe, informed, and welcoming environment, as demanded by the California Healthy Youth Act, and that means educating their classmates that they are to be accepted in their differences, just as we would educate them to accept racial and ethnic differences. This is just one reason why a culturally competent sexual education curriculum is far too late if it's only starting in grade 4. I've reviewed our 3R curriculum. I find it developmentally and age appropriate and in alignment with American Academy of Pediatrics policy. As a parent and a board-certified pediatrician, I can assure you that by grade 4, a majority of the children in a classroom have smartphones, the internet, the playground, and sometimes older siblings. Violent, explicit sexual content is pervasive in the gaming imagery, as well as film and television. An innocent child's mind is absurd. It calms a raging storm of misinformation and curiosity, which is already turbulent in the minds of children this age. What they really need, actually, is a proper, informed, age-appropriate introduction to it in kindergarten, as recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics. It is no longer uncommon for girls to begin puberty before age 8 in answer to the question that was previously asked. And in grade 4, there are also children who were delayed or held back in primary school, making them 10, turning 11 years old in grade 4. Waiting until grade 4 misses the onset of puberty in far too many children. Waiting until after puberty begins to start sexual education is like commencing fire drills after you can smell the smoke. Just say no has been proven not to work in multiple public health battles. The devil is in the details. Knowing how to respect personal space and boundaries are critical skills for abstinence. They do not interfere with parental morals and values. They assist in the implementation of those values. But regardless, these life skills are a part of the duty of educators of children and squarely in the bailiwick of a school district and its governing board, making use of what credentialed expertise they can bring to bear on setting policy. Thank you for your time.
I'm Sally, a parent of 3 at Mission High School. I haven't ever opted any of my children out, and collectively they have attended 18 sex ed classes here in Fremont, including the 3Rs this last December. That was in ninth grade. Please avoid 3Rs. There are 3 key points that I hear over and over on why people feel that sex ed is needed in 4th through 6th grade, including the student group. First, that they feel comfortable to talk to their teachers. Second, that 4th grade students understand menstruation. And third, touching boundaries. But perhaps this isn't straight up sex ed. And what issues do we have? Now, we're still open for lawsuit. I'm just guessing that that is one of the main drivers behind all of this, that's the concern. Now, 3Rs is not correctly aligned to current state content standards. New lesson level opt-out is complex to do in practice, and some students will be missed. A high level of resources is needed from schools to do all this, managing more opt-outs, managing activities for the opted-out students. Every year, more communications for new 4th grade parents due to it being controversial, insensitive culturally, time needed by teachers to learn a new curriculum. What options do we have? There are many options that you have before you. Now, some say we should just opt out. Why use limited school resources like this? Is it an option for them to attend 3R classes outside of school? Fremont has many educational businesses, and they will offer classes. We have many schools like that in the area. If risk of lawsuit is so high and it is decided to stop sex ed in 4th through 6th grade, there are other ways to continue these key points in the schools. We can tell students that they can speak to their teacher. Touching boundaries can be inserted somewhere else, like great traits are. as a safety items. Menstruation to do with puberty can be inserted in science, just like high school inserts human impact on
Please.
the environment.
Good evening. My name is Rona Popal. I'm representing the Afghan community parents. I'm here to bring their voice. The parents in our community is very concerned about the sex ed education. I believe it's better to set up a community meeting with Afghan community so these parents really understand about what is this sex ed curriculum is all about, so they can decide. Do you really want to be involved? And I have a suggestion, if it's possible, let's change it to opt-in and put the burden on the sex ed advocate to convince parents. Thank you.
My name is Yang Hong Mao. I think the age-inappropriate messages are hidden in 3R's details, not its outlines. Many of us realize this only after seeing the details. If you haven't reviewed the details, please read them. I think it is very important. The 3R curriculum has examples in Lesson 6 for Grade 6, for example, that suggests it is normal for 7th graders to engage in sexual behaviors. A good curriculum does not encourage kids to have sex at such a young age. Lesson 7 for Grade 8 talks about a 19-year-old girl who has already had multiple sexual partners in the past as a role model for preventing STDs. A good curriculum does not encourage kids to have many sexual partners. 3R glosses over all the harms associated with kids having sex. It creates irresponsible overconfidence in kids about their ability to handle all the negative consequences. It minimizes parents' supervision and influence in our kids' decision-making process and leaves the parents only with the responsibility to support them when they got really hurt. According to 3R, there's nothing wrong with prostitution, polygamy, extramarital affairs, and cheating because they all can be done consensually and safely. We want a good curriculum that tells our kids these behaviors are wrong and sets high expectations for them. A child miseducated is a child lost, said by President John F. Kennedy. 3R will miseducate our kids. 3R will teach kids to have a very casual attitude towards sex. Please make the right choice for all kids. Thank you very much.
Next, please.
Hi, my name is Megan Ballard. I'm a current 6th grade teacher with experience teaching high school health in Fremont Unified. I'm asking you not to take away this 3R's comprehensive reproductive health and wellness education for our 4th through 6th grade students. It is vital that students know what changes to expect during puberty before it starts happening to them. Menstruation can begin as early as 8 years old, and that is a terrifying experience without having the knowledge and preparedness to handle such a dramatic biological change. It is our job to educate our children, to arm them with objective, medically accurate information so they are able to make informed choices about their bodies and their lives. My experience as a health teacher has given me behind-the-scenes information about our students that parents may not want to admit or that they are blissfully unaware of. Children know more than they think we do, and they learn it from unreliable sources such as the internet, older siblings, and other students on the playground. My professional observations on this topic have proven to me that in the absence of biological facts, students are likely to believe and act upon common misconceptions that can easily lead to unplanned or unexpected pregnancies, disease transmission, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. I taught comprehensive sexual health and wellness to many teen parents, one of whom became pregnant at the tender age of 13. She admitted it happened because she did not have the tools and education she needed to refuse those actions. And the child's father did not have the tools and education he needed to understand that she did not consent to those actions. Other LGBTQ students have confessed to me that they never paid attention to this curriculum the first time they were in health because they felt it didn't apply to them. They did not have a space at the table. I understand there is an undercurrent of shame and embarrassment when it comes to talking about this topic and the details of reproduction and disease. We cannot let the fear, the existing stigma, and the resulting uncomfortable emotions limit the flow of knowledge to our students. They need the information and tools required for them to make informed decisions that are best for their own lives. Research has shown that withholding this information from children does not delay the onset of sexual activity. However, it does leave them vulnerable to negative consequences that could be easily mitigated with proper education. The best way to eliminate these hurdles is to have the uncomfortable conversations about sexual health and wellness. It is important to remember this is a natural process of biology, and as such, it is vital to educate our student population about that biology. Reproductive health and wellness is a significant part of anyone's life, critical to public health, and not something to be ashamed of. Please do not take this away from our students. Thank you.
Next, please.
Good evening, board and staff. My name is Louisa Chen, and I'm a registered voter in Fremont. The proponents of 3R sex education curriculum often make the claim that they are the scientific professionals and they have scientific evidence on the effectiveness of 3R sex education curriculum. What they don't recognize is that there are many scientists with advanced degrees among the concerned parents also. Some of us did independent review of the research literature, and here are some of our findings. 1. A report from World Health Organization and Macquarie University showed that there are a number of methodological problems that limit the findings of many of the comprehensive sex education research. In science, bad methods equals unreliable results. 2. Outcome measures that are used to define program success in many of the studies were weak. In other words, when you set the bar low enough, any program can be considered successful. 3. What if you set the measurement criteria properly? As it turns out, most comprehensive sex ed programs are not all that effective when evaluated against more rigorous measures. But there are not even the most important problems. It is not good enough to know the general effectiveness of comprehensive sex education. What we need to be certain is the specific effectiveness of the 3R curriculum. 3R's proponents will make claims about general effectiveness of comprehensive sex ed, which we have found to be questionable at best. Then they make the assertion that since comprehensive sex ed is effective, 3R must be effective. This is called bait and switch. The reality is that there's zero evidence that 3R works. Maybe why that is free. Can we trust this curriculum? Can we trust the board to make the right decision, to carefully review all the law compliant material before adopting this curriculum? Please restore our trust to you, and we love you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Speakers 91 to 100, if you could please step into the board. Speakers 91 to 100, and also 101 to 110, if you can please stand by.
Good evening. My name is Ashok Chatterjee. I'm a Fremont resident and a FUSD father. I'm here since 1985. I would start my presentation with the FUSD motto: inspire, educate, and challenge. Challenge to learn more. At the last meeting, couple of meetings, I heard a lot about cultural taboo. I asked around in my community. I asked around in the community that I come from the country of my origin. They were telling me, can we have an education program like that here? Taboo is pure nonsense. Today I've been hearing all these and say that attack on the staff, mention that we are all voters. I think there is a veiled threat in there, attack on the process, suggestion that abstinent is perhaps the only way. Not everybody said that, but quite a few. Let's cut through the chase. Let's, board members, let's look at it. You can discuss the issue until the cows come home. What's going to change? How have you seen the movement over the past months? How much change have you seen over the past couple of years? Hardly any. It is our right, we, the parents and grandparents, to educate our children the way we want is our right. It is based on the 3R curriculum. Please remember that delay brings in nothing, accomplishes nothing. Remember, sex is not dirty unless you make it to be. Remember, education and knowledge, these are fundamental right of every student and every parent, every grandparent. And finally, I would conclude by saying, please, please, please keep in mind, education delayed is education denied. You have lot of suggestion of delay this, delay this, delay this. Please don't delay the education of the parents and the students that they represent. Their time is now. Thank you.
Respected board, my name is Srini. I'm the parent of 2 kids in your FUSD. I'm glad that I came here today. I'm observing you, board. You didn't lose a single blink of eye with any speaker. That is the trust that I had, and that's what you have proven. Having said that, no matter whatever the decision you take, we trust you. Now, many speakers spoke about some rules, law, and all. Let us get to a story. There is a mother. She offered a meal to their kids just made out of some salt. It is very odd to hear. That's what 3R here. The 3R curriculum is having more concentrated, unacceptable material to start from very early stage. So please consider a well-balanced meal to offer their kids. You are the mother there. Your children is the FUSD children. Please offer a balanced meal for them, not too early to offer very highly concentrated material. Look at those pictures on the board, how innocent their faces. So let us not give very hard, heavy, concentrated material or syllabus very early stage. Just let us balance it. Even if you take a medical prescription, there is age-appropriate dosage. Let us not give the adult dose to the kids. So this hope that you will make a wise decision, keeping a balanced mindset across the parents and the community. We trust you still. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Alexa Sarton. I'm an alumna of the Fremont Unified School District. I went to Gomes and Hopkins and Mission, and now I am a parent in this school district of a 4th grader and a younger kid. I'm also a youth leader in my faith community. I see a lot of children, and I care deeply, deeply about them. Puberty begins for many, many children by the age of 10. So I'm here to ask that you please keep your 4th through 6th grade sex education. These kids all benefit from information that comes from a trusted, reliable source, such as a teacher, as opposed to whatever nonsense they hear on the playground from their friends, or from the internet, or from whatever unreliable source they've stumbled upon. So I am voicing my support for whole classroom, mixed gender, sex, and health ed for 4th through 6th graders. I'm also here to voice my support for LGBTQ inclusive education for all the grades that will be receiving sex ed. all the youths in my program, and I work with 14 to 17-year-olds, benefit from information. They want trusted adults that they can talk to about these difficult issues in their lives. And that's not necessarily always going to be their parent. It's hard to talk to your kids about these things. It's hard for your kids to talk to you about these things. So giving our youths a trusted adult to whom they can go and feel safe about issues of sex and safety and consent and bullying and LGBTQ issues is very, very valuable. I urge you to implement a curriculum that complies with the Healthy Youth Act for this reason. Thank you for your time.
Next, please.
Hi, good evening, board and community members. My name is Amy Lamb, and I'm an alum of Chadbourne, Hopkins, and Mission San Jose High School. I've been a Fremont resident since 2000.